Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the strongest laners that we've seen in the Challenger Series. He takes disadvantageous matchups, comes out fine throughout, or if he gets the big leads, he's able to push down early on in good matchups. So definitely maybe see a little bit more focus here, but I doubt you're going to start seeing Caitlyn bans out of nowhere. But there's been twice now, 2 games in a row, that they've taken his AD carry pick later on in the draft. There's been bans thrown at it. Maybe it's not even worth trying to target him at all.
We'll have to see how everything else in this ban phase plays out, because now it's eUnited swapping back over to the blue side, and it's them that banned the Jace away this time. They took it on the red side in game 2. Fox played it decently, took a little while to scale up, but eventually was getting the shock blast damage through. But now it's on Goldcoin United. There's a Lulu, there's a Rengar, there's a Ryze, there's a Soraka. There's so many things that are still open that are priority picks, and they actually banned out the Karma this time.
Very surprising to see that eUnited happy to grab the Ryze here. This is likely leading into Goldcoin United grabbing away the Lulu Rengar combination. We'll have to see if that's what they choose to do. And that makes the Karma make a little bit more sense, because you don't want them to be able to match that potential support with the shields and the speed ups and all that. But then again, eUnited could probably just grab Soraka then, something that they did extremely well with in the first game.
That's true, and it will be the Lulu, looks like, for the side of Goldcoin United. It's been a very interesting priority pick. You touched upon its importance in game number 1. It's kind of just risen to the top as that very safe to blind pick kind of support pickup, and with the Rengar still on the table, potentially for Santorin, this natural synergy is there. Santorin, however, has not necessarily been the biggest Rengar player. One of the criticisms we did have of Goldcoin United is their hesitant play around some of these picks, and that Rengar actually going to be given up for the Cassiopeia matchup in the mid lane.
Makes a little bit of sense that they don't want to go Lulu Rengar. If you ban the Karma away, you're taking away the other speed up support to make it a little bit harder to play the Rengar. So you are kind of making the Rengar pick a little bit weaker there by taking the Lulu, banning away the Karma, and letting them grab the Rengar. The scary thing is that Gilius is plenty aggressive. I don't think he needs any help finding angles and engage opportunities. It's just that they're the right ones. And they also got the Ryze, which they're going to be able to combo with as well, looking for openings on the side of Goldcoin United. The Rengar will be the pick. And a little scary here. That's a lot of potential playmaking on the side of eUnited, though this is the first time that we're going to see Phoenix really in that counter pick matchup where he has the favorable lane.
Yeah, so we'll see if Phoenix can continue to get advantages over Fox like he did. Mentioned on the analyst decks, his average statistics across 2 games are very, very large, only about 15.5 compared to the normal 20 CS advantage at 15
Oh man,
minutes.
not nearly as good there.
No, almost not, but it is going to be Santorin picking up the Kha'Zix, whereas you mentioned before, Gilius not afraid to get aggressive with his Rengar ultimate. Santorin is utilizing those more as zoning ultimates in and of himself. So the Kha'Zix pickup is going to be, the throw of the hunt between those 2 champions. As now Goldcoin United in the second ban phase are going to continue to target down on Deathly. There's no AD carries picked up by either side this time around, instead being matched, which is kind of the first time we've seen it in the series.
Right, I was about to say, it's the first time we saw all the roles taken equally between the 2 teams in the first round of the draft phase. So here we'll see what they choose to do. Like you said, Goldcoin United still targeting down the bot lane here with the Ashe and the Caitlyn bans. eUnited banning away that Nautilus in the top lane. We'll have to see if they go with the Camille again. That was something they banned away in the second game. It looked like it was pretty useful because they were able to get the Rumble into a tank matchup as opposed to a carry matchup, though. Goldcoin United being on the red side will be able to potentially last pick their top laner. He's used to the Camille ban. Might see a Renekton to counter that Rumble. They're obviously going to take their AD carry here first, though. Looking like an Ezreal pickup, most likely.
Yeah, Ezreal and Sivir, kind of the 2 AD carries left on the table, and haha, you're a Psychic. They lock in the Ezreal for this side of MASH, and does mean that eUnited will get the first crack at that top lane matchup, although Goldcoin United can potentially respawn both of these players. Now that we've seen a couple games from Licorice on the Rumble, he's content to play that one, but we've both seen Solo and Licorice in the semifinal series being apt at using that Renekton, taking the advantage they can gain in lane and pushing them down towards other areas of the map. Heck, Licorice was doing it on the Rumble in just the last game.
Yep, so that's, like you said, the Sivir pick. Same bot lane that they got in game 1 with the Soraka being able to offset some of those weaker trades that the Sivir often ends up taking. So a really strong combination in that bot lane. And here, eUnited maybe not looking to go for the Rumble themselves, afraid of the Crocodile counter pick. They're just going to take it for themselves blind earlier on.
Yeah, so if eUnited do wind up blocking in this Renekton, that could be something that we've seen Licorice be quite adept on. It's not quite, his Maokai or his Poppy from previous matches, although he is still 2-0 on the champion. we'll have to see if they wind up going with that Rumble matchup, kind of more carry versus carry-centric style. But this does mean that eUnited, while they picked their Gragas in game number 2 to have kind of a dedicated tank in their front line, they now have the Rengar who built a little tanky in game number 1, but the Renekton who can build a bit more bruiserish, so they do kind of have their own kind of mishmash of a front line.
See the Poppy lock in here for Gold Coin United. No surprise to not really see them opt for that carry versus bruiser matchup. Usually goes pretty poorly early on, and you have to be worried about the Rengar roaming up there early to make it even worse for him. So they go with the Poppy. Does still get bullied by the Renekton for a little bit in the top lane, but doesn't get destroyed in lane. A lot harder to dive, and then come in the mid-late game team fights, you're usually able to do a little bit more in terms of CC and setting up the rest of your team to run away with the team fight, because they got a lot of damage available in the other positions. The Ezreal, the Cassiopeia, and the Kha'Zix all being extremely high DPS champions.
It's also a lot of denial, too. You're not going to be able to slice and dice or Rengar jump your way onto Phoenix if he's got a Poppy W, the steadfast presence around him. So they do limit the engage opportunities from the side of eUnited as well. And they don't necessarily have, you know, a Rumble Ultimate and a Gragas cast this time around. A little bit less optimal engage paths. You know, they still have the option of the dreaded flash stun from Renekton, which we were joking about in their series against Big God's Jackals, but that's the way they won a lot of fights.
Yeah, I mean, Quas actually had a pretty impressive performance with Renekton engages. Gonna have to see if Licorice can match it up this game against Gold Coin United with the Poppy pick. Like you mentioned, very tough to get good engages off when the Poppy can deny a lot of those jump-ins, but you do need to be grouped up and in position to do that. And eUnited, for the most part, has been able to find good engages. So yeah, they have a lot of tools here. Once again, lots of speed up with the Sivir, the Rengar engage, and the Ryze engage. Yeah,
well, one of the things that eUnited has not necessarily been lauded for is being too passive. So as we get into game number 3 of this potential best-of-5 series, it's eUnited and Gold Coin United. United at 1 game apiece. And we'll see who's going to take a slight advantage in this best-of-5.
That's almost the same United joke you used in game 2. You basically recycled that.
What can I say? All of my puns are on the same page.
Was that United? No, okay, I was like, is this leading somewhere? I feel like that's a setup for another pun.
Yeah.
Anyways, doing your best Freak impression.
I mean, I have to. I'm the new Freak. You're the new Zyrene. That means you got better hair than I do.
It's a matter of taste in my mind. Here we see, like we said, the standard kind of openings to the level 1s for the Challenger Series in a lot of games right now. Not as many tricky level 1s, something that I do miss a little bit from the olden days when you saw the support starting with 3 greens and a pink. Just run into that jungle, try and ward stuff up.
Can't do that anymore.
I don't think supports miss it.
Nah, I don't think they do either. We do actually see the Ancient Coin start for Soraka, the Spelt East Edge for Mad Life, as both of these teams you mentioned just playing it rather safe, lining up kind of at the line of scrimmage. Probably not going to see anything happening too early. It's both of these teams. I mean, we've mentioned it throughout the cast. They said it on the analyst desk. For the first 10 minutes or so, both of these teams are fairly content to kind of play out the laning phase and just let wherever their junglers are going to be on the map kind of dictate the pace of the game.
And a big thing, I think, this time around is the fact that Phoenix does have that counter matchup. We've actually seen him really bullying Fox the first 2 levels in both games so far and getting, like you said, big CS leads. And this time around, he actually has the better matchup. So how hard can he push it this time? I'm a little worried for Fox. But we talk about how Ryze is his signature champion. He's 7-0 on it, so maybe a step up from his other champions.
Well, game number 1, this matchup was on the other foot, where it was Fox on the Cassiopeia and Phoenix playing the Ryze, and Phoenix was still getting up in personal in the face of Fox early on. So we'll see if Fox kind of does the same exact sort of thing. Of course, now when he has the Ryze, he of course has the Rune Prison, which is going to be an easy way for Gilius to get assisted on a gank there if he chooses to target down that mid lane the same way he has in the previous matches.
Yeah, Phoenix does have the cleanse, so it'll be a little bit easier to get away from that Ryze Rune Prison than would be without it. Phoenix will be playing aggressive, I assume. That's how he seems to always play all his matchups, so he wants to be able to have that one get out of jail free card so he can play a little bit more back after he might get punished the first time.
Well, you see him already zoning away Fox from the wave of minions with the Cassiopeia hitting level 2 just ever so slightly earlier. This bottom lane matchup we mentioned.
Oh, they hit 2s.
Yeah, the Sivir and Soraka actually getting ignited right there. The heal comes out. Definitely's ticking down. Is he going to die? He will.
That's huge. Nice. First blood going over to Gold Coin United in the Lulu Ezreal lane, something you don't always see. You still need to be careful of level 2 all in, and definitely goes down early. We were just singing his praises prior to this game about how consistent he was for eUnited. And we see the first big mistake out of him, and this hurts. Unable to really buy anything at all, just sitting on 3 CS. He's going to be super behind in XP as well.
Well, we heard about caster curses, but so far we've heard from Semtorin about his play style. They lost that game. We hear from Deathly. he dies to first blood. Maybe it's just interviewing these players that their own kryptonite.
Stop showing the interviews. You're giving the games away. You're ruining the hype.
Well, Fox actually going to wind up face checking into a brush, finds Santorin leaping on him, so he's going to have to burn his slash to get out of there.
Yeah, a little surprising to see Fox just roaming down there, not knowing exactly where the enemy jungler was. Has to flash away just for trying to get a ward. Could have gone for a shallower ward than going for that deep one in the river. We'll take another look at that level 2 all-in. Definitely step forward. They don't have any vision of the brush. See the slow land from Mad Life. He hits 2, able to throw in the picks damage as well. And the aggressive shift in by Mash being the extra damage that they need, and the Ignite cutting into that heal.
Yeah, and actually we saw Zeyzal learning Q at level 1 to try to harass out Mad Life and Mash, or at least equal the harassment, so there was no heals available from that, and definitely almost seemed like didn't expect the Ignite to be coming out from there. Blew the heal after that was used. Now with the early lane advantage, they're going to continue punishing this disadvantageous Sivir.
They get him again!
They wind up picking up another kill, but it's going to be an early teleport coming in from Licorice. Does wind up getting canceled, cannot come into a 3v2.
Oh man, things are coming totally off the rails on the side of eUnited early on in this game. Still only about 1,000 gold lead, 4 minutes in, but the way that it's happening is absolutely brutal. Definitely dying twice there. Santorin getting involved in the gank. No summoners available, so definitely didn't have any extra tools to get out of there. Zeyzal doing his best to keep him alive. You see a level 4 Soraka to a level 2 Sivir now against 2 level 3 laners on the side of Goldcoin United. It's not going to get any easier as this goes on. They still have no flash on Definitely, and all the summoners available basically on the side of Goldcoin United. Even Ignite's going to be coming up soon.
Well, as you saw, Fox's Rise, maybe one of their saving graces, undefeated with a 7.1 KDA, but he's going to be the next target here. They've already burned his flash from before, and Mad Life roaming around on this level 3 Lulu already with a Sight Stone going to come in. Flash forward from Santorin to secure that kill, make sure Mad Life doesn't get a third.
Yeah, he's like, all right, Lulu, you've had enough. I mean, we've seen before Lulus that get some kills early. Sometimes they grab that Mage Eyes because it's not like you really want to focus down a Lulu in team fights when you have to worry about a Cassio, Kha'Zix, and Ezreal. So be interested to see what Mad Life chooses to do with all that extra gold that supports usually don't have.
No, he's got a Sight Stone early on. He's got 2 control wards in his inventory.
He's going to steal some jungle creeps. Oh, he didn't take that one.
He didn't. I think he's just shielding up Santorin here. But Mad Life has gone for a more aggressive style of the Lulu pick. We see oftentimes them kind of going back and forth with Keystone Masteries. This time around he's taking the Thunderlord's Decree as opposed to going for the Windspeaker's Blessing. So it shows that he's playing that bully style of Lulu. And 2-0 and 1 early on, working out.
Yeah, you sometimes see those exhausts come in. There's no one on the team of eUnited. You're super happy to exhaust. Sure, you can do it to the Renekton. Sure, you can do it to the Rengar, but come to late game, it's not as effective as an Ignite might be against a Soraka, where you can really cut into that healing that she's going to be wanting to do.
And the one thing you can really just knock him for is utilizing not the Star Guardian skin.
I guess you can knock him for that. That's not something I would hold against somebody.
Well, I know that, but that's just an aesthetic choice. As Phoenix hitting level 6 early on, gets the paralyzing gaze up, but Foss going to turn around, trying to get some damage down with the poison taken away, and that's Phoenix getting the best of Fox again.
And it's a solo kill for Phoenix. We were saying this is one of the few times in this series that Phoenix does have the favorable matchup, gets the early 6 and knows exactly how to push his advantage against the Rise, gets that kill. Things are going from bad to worse for eUnited. 2 deaths for both of their carries in Fox and Definitely. And Licorice not on a carry himself this time around. It's actually much worse to fall behind on these damage dealers when you don't have an extra one supporting you from the top side.
So now we wind up seeing what can eUnited do that the Snowball has not gotten the ball rolling early on. Goldcoin United were the ones stemming the aggression in games 1 and game 2, but now it's them turning on the aggression and turning up the heat in this mid lane. Phoenix, as soon as he hits level 6, doesn't even waste a moment to go in.
It's probably one of those situations where you are watching your own level and not really factoring the fact that you died to a gank earlier on. It did not look like Fox was prepared for the fact that Phoenix was going to hit 6 right then. On top of the fact that he was down a summoner, so if he was aware at all of the fact of how close Phoenix was to 6, he should not have walked up to that wave at all. Let it come into you, maybe call for some help if you need it that badly. Big mistake walking up there.
Fox going to wind up going over, getting his own blue buff. Does have the tier they got to start stacking up, but Phoenix has one in and of himself, the opposite side of the lane. We do see Mash going back, picking up his own tier. He has the eventually I'll do things and deal damage build, going for the call and the tier, but he's still significantly ahead of his lane opponent. Definitely wound up going back, picking up his own call. Has to go back and pick up the Caulfield's Warhammer. Will not have the early BF sword for extra damage, and already down 24 CS due to all that pressure they're putting down on the bottom side.
The one potential saving grace for eUnited is the fact that we talk about Gold Coin United is not the best team at snowballing. So despite how disastrous these early kills were, we did not see Gold Coin United find an opportunity to utilize the teleport advantage. It was really, really early on, so it's not too much of a surprise to see between the 4 and 8 minutes that they couldn't really get an extra teleport play off. But you know, it is a 2,000 gold advantage, but we've seen Gold Coin United stall out with a 2,000 gold advantage from this point before. So if eUnited can stabilize, they still have a good comp. They still have the tools to make plays in the mid and late game, but it's tough.
They got late game Sivir, they got late game Rise, but they're going to have to try to funnel some of this early game power potentially into this Renekton on the top side. Although the rest of his teammates may be down in CS, he accrued himself a comfortable 19 CS lead over Solo's Poppy on the top side. It's interesting to see Licorice being put onto these carry-centric champions, whereas they're forcing Solo to be put onto these tanks. Solo, not necessarily known as a specific role player, whereas Licorice has kind of been doing so. We'll see if actually Gilius turns his focus up to that top side where they actually do have an advantage, or if he continues to try to help out those lanes on the bottom side that are losing out.
Yeah, you talk about the CS advantage. It's nice to see about a 20 CS lead for Licorice, but on the flip side, you have to look at the other lanes.
But 20 against them in every single lane.
Yeah, 20 or 30 in every other lane, so he's trying his best to offset those gold deficits, but it is a struggle. And now you see Fox zoned away from the wave entirely. Phoenix has the freeze on. Santorin hovering around as well, getting complete vision control. This is one of the most brutal feelings to play against as a mid laner. You cannot walk up to contest the CS. You can't do anything about this. You can't even really bring your jungler because you're weaker in the 2v2 as well. So as long as you know that the enemy jungler is hovering around mid, you kind of just have to take this.
Yeah, well, Gilius at the same time has kind of identified that he may not be the most used to ganking some of those lanes, has decided to go for a bit of a power farm strategy, already gone for his warrior and champion himself. Gilius has been known to be an aggressive jungler, also been known to play a little bit more of a carry style jungler. You know, over in the EU LCS, every now and then he'd break out his God Gilius mode when he felt like he had to 1v5 for his team. Their team's already down extremely early on, and we know that he's been a big vocal part of the side of eUnited. We'll see if he's the one that actually starts driving plays to try to get them back into this one, or if he succumbs to his own tendencies to get a little over-aggressive.
Well, it was nice I was able to go in there and help get some vision control for Fox. It allows him to walk up and push that wave in, as Santorin had recalled. And it is nice to see the adaptation come out for Gilius here, where he's not forcing all these insane plays around mid. He identifies that his mid laner is extremely far behind, and these plays would probably get turned around. So he's focusing more on farming up as best as he can. And this is a little scary, given that we know eUnited prefers to play the aggressive style, forced into something that is not quite natural to them here.
Forced into a situation where normally Gilius and Fox aren't the ones behind, period. Fox himself had the second stats only to Phoenix, but even then, the drop-off between first and second was so monumental that it's showing itself here, now manifesting into an over 30 CS advantage to recrest the 11-minute mark right here. And Phoenix on Cassiopeia, we already saw what he could do against a team like Tempo Storm when he gets that advantage. He isn't necessarily roaming around the map as much as possible, but he's continuing to accrue these advantages, and if he starts getting that late in Cassiopeia 5 to 10 minutes ahead of schedule, it's going to be insanely difficult to deal with him around objectives.
Yeah, I believe during that series last week, we saw him at 25 minutes sitting on 3 items already with a fully stacked Seraph. So he was a strong Cassiopeia, and he's on track to be so again.
Yeah, he was cheating too. Doesn't even need to buy boots.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to buy boots.
It's
Cassiopeia
true.
doesn't.
I don't know if that's cheating. I mean,
It's cheating.
Boots are usually extremely efficient for the amount of gold that they're worth, but
Well, Phoenix getting aggressive onto Fox, wants to see the amount of gold he's worth by trying to pick up a kill onto him, but instead he's going to trade a little bit back and forth. But Gilius popping the ultimate here. He knows the Paralyzing Gaze isn't available. Does wind up burning the flash for Phoenix just for his ultimate.
see Phoenix going aggressive without any jungler support. Santorin was back in base. A little bit of a desync there between Santorin and Phoenix, using that ult aggressively, not able to use it for the Rengar. That is one of your best tools is the Cassiopeia versus the Rengar, is the fact that he has to jump in on you, and generally that means he's facing you. So without that, it's a lot easier for Gilius to open up onto him, burns the flash of Phoenix there. We'll have to see if this ult forces Phoenix to start playing a little bit more defensively. or if he continues to keep up his patented aggression.
Well, Zyrene mentioned it on the desk. Sometimes Phoenix plays aggressive because Santorin's nearby. Sometimes Phoenix plays aggressive because he's Phoenix, and that's what he does. So it'll be difficult for the side of eUnited to judge if Santorin is there or not, especially if he and MadLife continue to do what they like to do and deny vision across the bottom side of the map. The Infernal Drake is the first one of the game that has spawned. Goldcoin United with solid vision control of that area. They know that Rise stepped away from the mid lane. He's probably going to get that blue buff, so they will just go take that dragon for free.
Yeah, they have a ward over the wall there between blue buff and mid lane. They see Rise step over there, get a blue buff. They know that means Rengar's up there, opens up the blue buff, or the dragon for them to take. Probably would have been pretty free for them to grab normally anyways, given the fact that they are so much stronger around the mid and bot lanes. Goldcoin United able to grab an Infernal Dragon, a great dragon for them to get, given that they're ahead and they have a lot of champions that work well with it. And the next one up is a Mountain Dragon, so as long as they hold on to this lead, they'll be able to grab that one as well. And from the lead, like we were saying, the Mountain Dragon is a very powerful Drake.
Yep, and we see Santorin off the back of this lead and vision control on the bottom will also be stealing away a red buff from the side of eUnited. And a lot of things are coming out of the fact that Goldcoin United had these leads, including Santorin thinking he can potentially jump on Gilius here, but we'll decide to back away as Gilius clears out that ward. But interestingly enough, we have on the bottom side of the map, you have the, normally you see Ezreal going for the Manamune, going into the Trinity Force. Because they are so far ahead in this lane, he stopped and picked up an Executioner's Calling extremely early on, which is going to cut into the healing from Soraka, which is going to just compound on the fact that this Sivir is falling further and further behind. And any trade situation you get in on this bottom side is going to go even more poorly because that Soraka heal is basically cut in half.
Yeah, definitely a pretty clever pick of item there for MASH. Hasn't translated into the biggest advantage. It's up to about a 40 CS lead.
40 CS is pretty big.
I mean, that's mostly going to come from the fact that you got 2 kills in the first 3 minutes against another champion. It's just very hard to fight from that position. So obviously, definitely down a lot in general. And though the gold lead has grown a little bit up to about 3K now from the 2,000 we saw before, it's not really off the back of aggressive plays. It's a lot more growing that CS lead. And I mean, a 3K gold advantage at 15 minutes is great, but given how the game started, you kind of want to see Goldcoin United grow that lead a little bit faster. They have not picked up a kill since that last one around the mid lane.
1.3K ahead in the bottom lane, about 800 gold ahead in the mid lane, and the jungle matchup looking relatively even. A lot of the gold actually sitting on MadLife right now, as he did wind up getting 2 of those kills. Rushed himself a very early sight zone, has already upgraded to mobility boots, which we've seen pay dividends as he and Santorin continue to clear vision on the map.
And I think the story of MadLife in the Challenger Series is an extremely almost surprising one, where it started so poorly as we see them open up on the bot lane.
Whew, the wish and the heal coming out onto Definitely almost immediately. He burned his own summoner heal as well, so all those summoners, all those spells pop just for a little bit of a brush ambush.
I mean, that could have gone really bad, so they're able to save their flashes, but they lose almost everything else. Now MASH and MadLife pressuring down this bot turret, looking to grab their first turret of the game 15 minutes in here. We'll see if MadLife wants to donate that solo gold or if he still thinks he's a carry.
Nah, he thinks he's a carry.
He still thinks he's a carry. So, like we were just saying about MadLife coming into the Challenger Series, it looked like he was really out of sync with the team when he first showed up. He was playing champions that were not exactly meta, but the team seemingly needed for their comps, things like Braum, which we do see a little bit time to time, but it was not in the best situations. He was kind of forced onto it. He was struggling to find synergy with his AD carry, switching between Rikara and MASH, and then as time went on, they settled on MASH. We started seeing on more of the meta picks, and he's really stepped up and improved, and you see he's taking this game over already from the support position.
Yeah, and we've already heard from Santorin crediting MadLife to a lot of the calls that come out for their team and kind of being the veteran voice and the shot caller that he can rely on from the jungle position as well. As we saw, the first tower of the game went over to GCU. Also the first tower of this entire series they were able to take, and they're quite successful when they do so. 9-0 with a 100% win rate if they do take that one. And they're already pushing this aggression, moving up towards that mid lane, moving MASH and MadLife over there, continuing to rotate around, and they burn the Rengar ultimate as well.
Nice little small advantage there for Goldcoin United. Grabbing vision control down the bot side. That is the long lane now. They have stuck Phoenix down there, believing in his carry potential. We've seen Phoenix do it before. Give him space to work, and he will net you advantages. You expect him to try and get a solo kill onto this Rise, but I'm sure eUnited will do their best to try and cover for him.
Well, that's the one thing. If Fox is somewhere, Gilius is probably not too far away. If you've learned from casting a lot of these eUnited games throughout the Challenger Series, Goldcoin United kind of recognizing this, though. They keep transferring onto that bottom side jungle area, and we see Gilius and Fox over by the Krug area as Phoenix continue to shove down with his blue buff available, and they continue to spam spells down onto Fox, getting aggressive because he knows he has a little bit of help from the mid side, as now Mad Life's joined the fray down here as well. This is now Goldcoin United going into their own kind of little bit of a split push composition, playing around the strong side. The fact that Phoenix is down here and he's significantly ahead, and moving that bottom lane duo into the mid lane to just kind of do, well, a rinse and repeat of what we saw in game number 2, which is continue to put pressure and poke down very slowly on these outer towers.
Poke down turrets slowly is the general game plan that we see out of Goldcoin United when they have a lead. They're strong at doing so. Here you see getting a lot of chip damage onto this mid turret.
This is less slowly than I imagined, actually.
Oh, they have the jungle advantage given the fact that they have taken over the entire bot side. They knew that Rengar was down there, so they're able to walk up and play a lot more aggressively than you normally always would be able to. You saw Santorin walking up to try and zone Sivir away from the wave. We talk about how important it is for Sivir to actually be able to auto-attack the wave to get her wave clear in, so that extra little bit of pressure that Santorin exhibited there allowed them to chunk that turret down below half health.
And after a little bit of chunk damage on the tower, it looks like Goldcoin United looking to kind of go back themselves and wind up spending some of the money they've accrued in their inventories. We mentioned that if this Cassiopeia pick coming out from Phoenix is able to get to the 2 or 3 item slot ahead of schedule, it's going to be a big threat they have to deal with. Already, the Rylai's Crystal Scepter and the Abyssal Scepter picked up sub 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're looking at another 25-minute, 3.5 item Phoenix potentially. He's going to keep trying to split down that bot lane, keep getting that solo XP, keep getting those levels. See, definitely getting chunked to below half health relatively quickly there. The Grievous wounds, the more I'm seeing it, the more I'm kind of on it, because he definitely can basically walk away. He's not trying to contest your trades, really. If you land the poke, he backs away, waits for the Grievous wounds to fall off, and Zeyzal heals him up anyways. So it's a nice thought, but it doesn't seem as impactful as I would have wanted. It's not the worst thing in the world because you pick it up at some point in the game anyways, but I'm not sure it's worth delaying your Triforce power spike for.
Well, you see now Goldcoin United with pressure on the bottom side of the map means they've got vision control, which means they can easily take that Mountain Drake you were just talking about not too long ago, Mark. So it's going to be the second dragon of the game, going over to the side of Goldcoin United, relatively uncontested.
No surprise to see that lack of contest there from United, still extremely far behind as our friend Rift Herald returns to the void, Tom.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't seen much attention in any of these, much love in these series. Yeah, it's actually definitely getting chunked down low, as is Gilius. True Shot Barrage comes out, forces the heal out of Deathly. His tower in the mid lane, seen better days, Mark, and Goldcoin United might be looking to take it down next.
Yeah, they got another wave coming in here shortly, though eUnited is trying to turn this one back.
Yeah, Fox winds up rooting down on the Santorin, but he's just a hop, skip, and a jump out of there. Throw the hunt was popped by Gilius. He's looking to jump on someone, does wind up going on to Phoenix, but just a little bit of poke damage from the Rengar.
Nice out of eUnited overall, though, to get some threat back onto Goldcoin United, keeping that turret up just a little bit longer. You're doing your best to hold on here and to continue to scale. It's true that you don't really scale any better than Goldcoin United over the course of this game, but the longer that you sit at around this 3K gold deficit, the less impactful it becomes because you are slowly catching up in items. So the lead isn't growing, and as you get more and more later into the game, the the gold differential drops.
Yep.
Percentage-wise.
One of these things that we haven't actually seen a lot of impact out of has been this top lane matchup. The Renekton, although has advantages over the Poppy in lane, has built up towards his Black Cleaver, going towards the finishing of his Tiamat into Hydra. The Poppy just building straight tank, but the Renekton hasn't really been able to push those advantages that we normally see from these two players when they play Renekton. Licorice and Solo both have been transitioning lane advantages down towards the mid lane. We see that extremely difficult to do when GCU has been able to exert pressure on that mid lane, be able to grab control of that bottom side, and just by virtue of winning the other lane, just nullified Renekton's impact.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in game 2, Licorice level 4 was roaming onto Phoenix. The problem is, by level 4, multiple members on his team have died multiple times. It's hard to start having that kind of roaming impact when you are not able to really influence those lanes quite like how you'd want to. Gilius cannot go topside either, really, to try and snowball the Renekton because they're at such a pressure disadvantage in the bot and mid lane. He's usually stuck trying to get vision for Fox so he can actually walk up to a wave that he's getting zoned off of. He was stuck in a lot of situations like that. Gilius, so he wasn't able to get up to the top side where they have their one power point. And Licorice, nice that he was able to get a CS lead on his own, but now you see that he can't really do anything with it if he's not able to sync up with his team who's too far behind.
Yeah, I spoke too soon. As soon as I said that, Gold Coin United,
Faster
like, oh
curve.
yeah, there's a Renekton in the top lane. We should force him away from that tower. That'll be an easy thing to take.
Yeah, not too much of a surprise to see it coming. Sure, it's not the last outer turret available for them, but they already got so much work done in the mid turret, they'll be able to walk up and grab that one at some point here. They get the pressure back in the top side, grab that turret to stop the Renekton from pushing his advantage any further. And Solo, despite being relatively behind in CS, probably holding on pretty well on his own, though we see eUnited grabbing their first turret.
And eUnited actually at the same time trying to fight on the top side of the map. Gilius going to get caught out here. The Soraka Wish is used. Santorin flashing forward is able to kick up a kill right there. So it's another kill going over to GCU, 5-0.
Right as Fox is able to grab that turret down the bot side, a fight breaks out in the top river, going in favor of Gold Coin United. What else can they get off it? Probably this mid turret.
Yep, the already low mid tower is now going to wind up going down as Deathly's getting chunked out. Has to burn his flash, as does Licorice over the wall. Solo rotates up from the bottom lane just to say hello, but now they've chunked up multiple members of eUnited. Pings are going down onto that Baron. Are GCU going to go for this?
They could look at it. I mean, Gilius is not alive for another 5 seconds. He's relatively far away. Doesn't have any flash available, and they have a lot of damage. You see the power of the Cassiopeia Ezreal with those dragons stacking.
Ooh.
A little kick out there by Solo as well, and Gold Coin United destroy that Baron, pick it up 23 minutes in the game.
Yeah, oh,
And at the same time, Nash saying, hey, that's not all we're going to do. We're going to get some kills too.
Yeah, Mash picks up a kill onto Deathly. Is now Licorice kind of caught out in the top lane area. Phoenix just chunking him down.
Nice
Deathly
footwork.
Goes forward, dodges on the paralyzing gaze. The cleanse has to get used. The wild growth gets used. Licorice not able to turn that one around. He winds up falling as well.
I mean, that was actually pretty impressive out of Licorice, dodging a lot of the poison damage there, and almost turns it back on the Phoenix. Definitely would have been able to kill him if the rest of Gold Coin United had not collapsed in time and shut him down. Licorice trying his best, just hard to find a way that he can really impact this game, especially now that Gold Coin United has grabbed that Baron buff and they've grown their lead to 7,000.
Yep, this is just a little easy boop from the Poppycopter to knock Fox away, and the Cassiopeia, the Ezreal, DPS, just so much damage, and this is definitely actually just low HP, didn't go back after that fight and just gets shifted on an auto attack.
Yeah, really disappointing game out of Deathly so far. Here we see Licorice with that nice fancy footwork. Is able to E through Phoenix's ultimate. Very impressive overall, but not actually able to turn that one around. Still goes down, and I mean, that Poppy ultimate on Fox, not the most necessary thing, but it's always fun to boot someone away and say, stay away from our Baron.
Yeah, that's true. Now with the Baron buff on their side, Gold Coin United are looking to push down this bottom lane tower. And I mean, after game number 2, where eUnited wind up coming back to tie up this series, this is most impressive from Gold Coin United, just kind of coming in. I forget the terminology we decided on, whether it was a no-hitter or what, but 0 kills given up, 0 dragons, 0 barons, just 1 tower falling for eUnited.
Yeah, I think no-hitter was the term for when the only objective, you only give up 1 objective or something with no kills.
Yeah, so
We
Gold
see
Coin
them.
United,
No defense there, just sacking their bottom inhibitor turret.
they just can't at this point. Everybody from the side of Gold Coin United, even if they're not afraid to fight them, they can't fight that wave of minions with the Baron buff. That will kill them in and of themselves.
You see that eUnited, a little bit of the writing on the wall here, not able to step up and defend any turrets. This game has gotten blown wide open off that single pick onto Gilius, and now they're going to try and make an attempt on Gold Coin United.
Yeah, but Gilius going to jump in, Gilius going to jump out, and Fox is going to wind up falling here. Gold Coin United say that, hey, you might be undefeated on the rise. We'll give you the first one here. They wind up picking up a kill on the Licorice. How's that undefeated Renekton? You're going to get a loss as well. Definitely winds up going down as a triple kill gets picked up by Phoenix. 10 kills to none, 12,000 gold advantage, and 2 inhibitors down. Gold Coin United making it look easy.
Right as we were saying that, one of the problems that we sometimes see with Gold Coin United is not being able to close the game out quickly. Here they're going to be able to break down the entire base of eUnited in just 26 minutes, taking game 3.
It's almost like the United teams decided to swap each other after swapping sides from game number 2. It's Gold Coin United taking an impressive victory off of a Baron buff less than 27 minutes into the game, and I don't know. That's not what we expected out of GCU.
Not at all, especially not where it came from either. Definitely dying level 1, dying level 3 to a gank. We saw Fox losing his flash early on in the repeat roam by MadLife now that he has all this pressure down the bot lane. Overall, a very surprising game, not just because Gold Coin United snowballed. We had seen them do it before. Sometimes they do get those monster leads and just crush people. But it was the fact that it came from the bot lane of all places on the side of eUnited. You usually don't see that out of them.
Right, but then again, you don't actually see them being pressured all too often either. Normally, they're content to let Zeyzal and definitely just kind of go even against each other in that lane. They put them in oftentimes a disadvantageous matchup. The early game Sivir's not necessarily the best at trading, and with the Ignite coming in from Mad Life's Lulu, getting the early level 2 pressure, it just was like a compounding effect after that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a pretty similar matchup in game 1. They lost lane by 10, 20 CS or something like that. Not too bad given what they were up against in the Caitlyn that game. But this time around, things go even worse, and they get all in level 2, not respecting that power spike coming in, and the heal was a little late. The Igniter was already cutting it, and then that was it. That was the first blood, and then after that, the game was over basically because Gold Coin United ran with it.
Yeah, and that just compounded with the advantages that Phoenix was able to get over Fox in the mid lane. Normally, with the bottom side of the map kind of being a little bit of a rock for the side of eUnited, they're kind of able to combat the vision control that GCU's been super aggressive and super on point with throughout the entire Challenger split. But once you lose that focus of that entire bottom side, suddenly you're losing dragon control. They didn't get a single dragon. Suddenly you're losing your red buff control. Gilius, I think, got his first one, and that was about it. So just completely losing control of that bottom side of the map, and all you have is a Renekton in the top lane who, once you lose those advantages, really doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, Renekton, great that he's able to bully in the top side. That's when you like seeing the roams come out of your mid laner and jungler. Maybe you combo together to dive the Poppy and start snowballing advantages that way. But with how far behind the entire team was, the Renekton pick doesn't do anything that much on its own in the tank matchup.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty quick game for Gold Coin United. Now to break down that victory from them, let's send over to Freak and Zyrene. Long time no see.
It's been a while, but we are back. Missed you, but now we're here to analyze the game. And hey, this was an absolute stomp, a complete snowball. GCU never looked back.
Yeah, they ended up, this is what I was talking about, where it was like, I want to see them actually do something along these lines. Yep. One of these teams at least have like a 26-minute game, because you can win the Challenger Finals, that's all fine and dandy, but promotion tournament, LCS is your ultimate goal. You have to be able to close. So that gave me a little bit more hope in these teams, especially the one that walked away with the win, GCU, because they were able to snowball it. But I do feel like eUnited, beginning of the game, helped them a lot.
Pack the snow forms, and here you go, you want to toss this at me? You got snow on my face. And I mean, look, Mad Life, hard smash the bot lane. Partial credit does go to the fact that I think definitely misplayed it. Did not respect the damage output. Brought Ignite into a Soraka matchup, and it meant you just cut all the healing down, and Mad Life destroyed him.
And like, you can walk back and wait for level 2. It felt like he didn't understand that the level 2 was going to come through. You see people seed the lane, so they don't even have that opportunity to actually have it turned around on them. Because he's walking up for a few CS there, but the level 2 comes out, they're walking backwards, and then the burst comes through. Granted, it is a lot of damage, but I think that combination of Lulu and Ezreal is one that people are trying to get their hands on very frequently.
They have very good single target damage early on in the lane, and you're not going to outpush that. Like, Lulu is going to be a better pusher than Soraka, generally speaking. They can out 2v2 you as well. Spell Feast help with that compared to the coin that Soraka has. So I think, a lot of tools there where you had to know coming in, these are good enough players. These are challenger solo queue players. They should know you're not going to win that matchup early, and misplaying like that is a pretty silly mistake. But still, to capitalize on it, that is, of course, mad props to the bot lane. And we can just kind of talk about the fact that this game stumbled from there. We have a team comp. I don't know if we brought that up just yet. I didn't look at the bottom of the screen to know if we had done that yet. But you can kind of look at the champions here. We heard the casters talk about it. Renekton, not exactly self-sufficient, which is understandable. Yeah, he won his matchup. Congratulations, Licorice. But, Solo held on, and then he team fought as a tank. It was great.
Yeah, there's not really too much that they can end up doing with that Renekton matchup. Top, Kha'Zix Santorin did go bottom and started helping out. Then he went mid, so like him and Mad Life paired up a lot earlier than they normally do to make those roams happen, and that was off of the early kill that we saw go over to Mad Life, who's like, I'm the carry now, I'm gonna take the other kill, I'm gonna go ahead and, share tower gold. So the snowball is kind of big at that point, and I feel like there's very hard to come back. Like, there's like a 3,000 gold difference though, and they didn't snowball very quickly. It took about until 15 minutes until we saw first turret go down, and then it started exponentially growing on itself from there. But team composition wise, I don't really feel too strongly about either composition being like way better than the other. I do feel like the Ryze first pick is something that is kind of betraying eUnited, because you could first pick Lulu here. You could break up the Lulu Rengar, force them to take Rengar. You don't get yourself counterpicked right away. And I feel like there's a lot of power in red side right now if people are not first picking Lulu in this matchup here.
Sure, and I agree. And you mentioned the mid lane matchup actually with the first pick Ryze. We got another feather in the cap of Phoenix is a better player than Fox right now. He smashed the lane super hard. Sure, one of the kills came through because of a roam, but then he comes back in the lane, dies again, level 6 versus level 5, and Phoenix just continues every single game to get the better of his lane opponent.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the very first draft, and I was like, oh, they banned Shen, Goldcoin United did, and I'm like, oh, where's the Ryze ban? They must be very comfortable playing Cassiopeia, and they don't care if he gets Ryze, because they'll counter it. Or then they ended up picking Ryze themselves and played against Fox's Cassiopeia, and they're like, oh, that's fine. And so now Phoenix has won both sides of that matchup, which I think is a little bit unacceptable, and then you need to give them more help.
Sure.
Because that was even before like Lulu roams were coming through. That was even before you were having issues there in that mid lane. It was already starting in just that matchup, which is a counter pick, yes, but in the first game, that's not a counter pick. You have the winning matchup and you're still losing.
I mean, Fox is losing both sides of the matchup. I think that sums it up, right? He's losing matchup he shouldn't be losing. We have a montage to show you guys. It's all the early game plays that came through. This is the obviously overstep right here, and the auto attack comes in for Mash for the first kill.
Yep, and then the ignite.
And this is very good. The Whimsy right as Kha'Zix enters Fog of War, so he doesn't have a chance of spell shooting any of the earlier burst. And yeah.
Whimsy is so strong in the right hands. Whimsy will come out again here, prevents him from doing anything, tries to walk away. Fox already had his flash blown previously by a Phoenix, and then
that cleanse is very important to get out of that rune prison.
Walks up. Nope. That's the matchup.
Yep.
So, yeah.
6 burst is pretty big. Wow, 4,000 damage out of Ryze. I didn't know what the damage numbers were, but that is, I mean, Soraka almost outdamaged you. Like, that's rough. Of course, yes, all the lanes are losing, only Rek'Sai can do anything. But this is just kind of unfortunate. It's what's going to happen to you, you know, when you get snowballed on this hard.
Yeah, and so I was just holding my ear about side selection. So it's dynamic side selection where first is 1, 3, and 5 will be eUnited because they were first seed. 2 and 4, Goldcoin United. So far, everybody has selected blue side. Goldcoin United just selected red side for themselves, which I think is very smart because it's showing that you don't care if United first picked the Ryze, but if they first picked the Lulu, I feel like that's a better thing to do here.
And it's worth pointing out, red team's won every game so far. Red team's 3-0, so they're going for that little bit of logic, and you know, we'll see how that plays out, but always interesting to see how that plays out. Either way, we are going into this game 4. It could be the final one. We'll see if GCU can close out the series and be the challenger finalists, and be the challenger champions, I should say. If they close it out, we'll see if that happens. Or, of course, we can see if it comes to game 5. See you soon.
What if we look over and they look over right as we look over and we make eye contact?
Then you wave.
Then you wave?
Yeah. This bottom lane match, we mentioned the Sivir.
They hit twos.
Yeah, the Sivir and Soraka actually getting ignited right there. The heal comes out. Definitely's ticking down. Is he gonna die? He will.
Right, Ringo. Fight. I'm in rush. Not going, kill their backline. Kill their backline.
It's Goldcoin United taking an impressive victory off of a Baron buff.